In some of my previous sessions, or if you take my training, what I do is I help people work through an AI role plan. And this is what that looks like. So what I do in these role plans, and you'll see in the next slide, is that we go and we break down these deliverables into tasks. So we're going to be working on this deliverable right here, story mapping. So this is a role plan for product managers. And the idea is that you would go through and work up as much automation as you can for each of these deliverables. We can also build this KPI based. So what we're going to work on today is story mapping, and we're going to take it from the beginning to the end. So I'm going to explain it to you. So for story mapping, and I actually use AI to help break this down. So it breaks down into multiple steps. We're going to give it a problem. If you're following along and you want to work on a problem that you have that you're currently thinking about tackling, then I'm going to be switching between ChatGPT and Lucid Charts. In this video, we're going to only create our problem statement. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start off with this problem statement. And then in this board, I'm going to open up ChatGPT. And this is a custom GPT, and I'm going to run it. So over here in this GPT, this is going to help us work through our problem statement. So I'm going to click the button that says, let's get started. I already identified the problem that I want to work on. Okay. So we're going to, let me make this a little bit bigger. So the problem is that I was doing some consulting for an educational research company. They have 500 employees, and they offer research materials to schools and teachers through their website. And one of the problems they're running into is that their support is inundated with calls because there's a lot of technical documentation, and they're not exactly people when they come in to search, they're doing keyword searches, but you know how that is. If you don't understand the technology, you're coming in with the keywords and you're having a problem finding things. So what ends up happening is they get a lot of phone calls to support. So the idea was they wanted to cut this down. So let's work through the problem statement without, like, we have some ideas on what might solve the problem, but let's work through our 5 whys and develop our problem statement and see how we can start to work towards what the solution would look like. So now what this, again, if you understand, or if you haven't built these custom GPTs, in my training, I show you how to do this. So what it'll do is, instead of just dumping out and giving you the 5 whys, it's going to work through one at a time. I'm going to copy and paste the first why into Lucid, into my chart. And so basically now at this point, if you have your team in here, you can go through and ask these questions. So why do customers contact support for clarification for relevant material? So one of the reasons is it's hard to find the information I need with keywords. So that kind of makes sense. And then another is, I don't understand how the research relates to my problem. So, you could see how this could be, the kind of things that would happen to a user if it's keyword search, very technical documentation. And then the nice thing about Lucid is, I don't know why I can't move this thing. Come on, go away. All right. So the thing I like about Lucid is you can lasso these cards, and then you go up here and you do collaborate with AI, and then click summarize. So I know we've all done this before. We're going through a 5 whys or whatever, and you have 8 stickies. And so the nice thing is that this will come and it'll create a nice summarization for you. And so now I can just take that summarization, difficulties and understanding. So it combined all of the stickies for me. So then I'm going to go back over here. I'm going back to the left in ChatGPT, and I'm going to answer the first why. And so now it comes back, and what it's going to do is it's going to take the answer for the first why and then regenerate the second why. So it's going to come up with a why. And so now what's happening is the 5 whys are in context. So it's kind of cool. So I'm going to copy this one in, and then we're going to go to the next why, and we're going to drop it in. Nice thing about this too is that it's now, keeping the documentation as to how I got through this. So Why do customers have difficulties understanding the relevance of the research to a problem they're finding? Relevant. I can't read out loud and think about what I'm reading, so it's kind of fun. Why do customers have difficulty in understanding the relevance of the search? They, many technical documents come back and come back. And another thing is that they aren't sure how to synthesize the results. And so again, we can you'd have your team on the board and they'd be doing this. And so we can summarize this and summary come down here. There are difficulties sizing the board, so I can, cut and paste these. Just going to take that. Looks like it's giving me a heading. And so I'm going to continue to work through these 5 whys. So here's my third why. Why are the customers having difficulty? Synthesizing search results and dealing with the technical documents. So the user doesn't know how to ask based on keywords, right? So this kind of makes sense. So we continue through this process. I'm going to just go through here to speed this up. I mean, I think we've all been through 5 whys, but the idea is that it's going to work through and we're going to get to our next why. And the nice thing about this is that ChatGPT will give you some hints as to what things. So, like usual, when you're working with your team, the way I look at it is that we don't want to work with a blank screen. We want to come in, give them some information, and kind of give people some hints and things for how do they actually go get the information. So, is it because they lack familiarity with the system, search interface doesn't guide them effectively, or they're unsure how to translate the needs? So a lot of this is, they're unsure how to align it with their problem, right? So if they can't align it with their problem, they obviously don't really kind of understand it. So that's why they're coming to us for the research. So again, this would make sense. Not sure how to align a problem. So why are they unsure? Let's go through this. Research materials, common tools, prompts. Let's just say they just want to ask a question. So this is why they call it support. They just want to ask and say, hey, this is my problem. So they just want to tell us their problem. And we find and bring back relevant information. That makes sense. So they just want to ask us for what they want. Like this is exactly why this is the reason they call support, because they don't know how to find things, so they're going to go through and try to figure it out. So great. So it's going to come by and we're going to get to the root cause problem. And so what we're going to do is we're going to copy and paste the root cause and just save that here. So the current system requires the user to search using keywords and manually synthesize technical documents, but users prefer to describe their problem naturally and have the system return relevant, easy to understand information. So that's cool. So here's a list of the potential user groups. I'm not going to save these off yet. But what we're going to do is we're going to go next and go through have the GPT walk us through a yellow hat exercise. And so Here's a list of potential users. We're going to capture that later. So let me know if these are the groups are impacted. Let's just go ahead and say five, all of the above, and let it continue. And again, you guys, if you're in the card, you should have access to this GPT. And so here are the impacted personas, and we're going to carry those forward. Like I said, we identify them and kind of give you some initial information, but obviously you're going to want to go into more detail on these personas. So does that break down a line? So let's go ahead and say yes, and we're going to quantify the impact. So again, one of the things that I've seen with problem statements is that they talk about the problem and kind of hint towards uh, the benefits, but what we want is we want real numbers. And so we have a support team, and it's given us some estimates. It's taken a cut. And part of what will happen to you is if you use ChatGPT a lot, it might bring some information forward. Obviously, I was working on this before. So go through this and make sure this is correct. So team support costs. For team members, each costing about 75,000 a year, fully loaded. And so that's about 300,000 support call volume. We think that it's already kind of hinting towards a solution. We think that a Gen AI chatbot might cut it down by 50%. And so it's um, going through and trying to help you formulate the benefits. So just some clarifying questions. So you want to go ahead and answer these. So how many support ticket calls are currently generated a month? Let's just say 100 because I can't think. 100 per month. How many customers, teachers use their website regularly? Let's say 400 per month. Users per month. And then let's estimate that it takes about about 10 minutes for one of these type of support calls. And then we're gonna go ahead and feed that to the GPT. And then make sure you're reading these responses. And the thing to remember whenever you're using any of your chat models like ChatGPT or whatever is that talk to it like a colleague. If you're not getting the responses that you're looking for, tell it, right? And have it redo things, right? And if you see something you don't like, you can go in and change it. And so now it says, okay, if does this meet your expectations? Let's determine the benefits of solving this problem. So it's like, yeah, this is good. So what we're trying to do is get to an initial set of benefits that we can then work with the team to make sure that they're the benefits that we like. It's usually pretty good about giving you a list that's pretty aligned with what you think the benefits are. But again, we want to make sure that we're using the things like ChatGPT as a facilitator for the collaboration with the team. And so it came out and said, these are the benefits that we see. So what I want to do is now there are certain things that we can do in Lucid, but we need to format our data. So this is where we can use, like I could cut and paste these out individually, but what I'm going to ask it to do is create a list, a bulleted list of the benefits of the benefit only. Aye, aye, aye. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get just like the one, two, three, four into a single list without the extra bullet. Let's see if he cooperates with me this morning. Duh. Let's try this again. If not, I'll do the old cut and paste. Only provide the main benefit, not the sub bullets. So you see, this is how you would talk to, like you were talking to one of your coworkers and you were working on this together. You would go down through and you you kind of work through this. All right, so that's cool. So now I got just this list of sub bullets. So again, I'm going to use some of the cool things that they have in Lucid. So I'm just going to copy and paste this. And then you can grab these stickies if you copy and paste a list. Now the list needs to be delimited, like so it needs to be new line, like I created there. So what it'll do is it'll come in and it'll create your sticky notes and it'll separate them out. So this is kind of cool. So here are the benefits. So I'm going to do a copy. Then we go to the next area. And then these are some tools that Lucid provides. So this benefits prioritization. So you drop in your stickies and save the changes. And now you can, let's edit the activity and run the bad boy. So what happens now is that this is kind of a cool tool. I use this one a lot. So I can go back in and now what we can do is you can see top to bottom, we can go through and say, and get the team to prioritize. And so everybody on the team would do this, and then it would synthesize your results, improve customer satisfaction. I kind of like that one. Operational cost savings, enhance user experience. What's this one? Let's see. Increased efficiency by technology, but let's put the users first. So improve customer satisfaction, enhance user experience, kind of the same operational. So you just go through this effort and team can work together. And then what you do is you submit it and it comes out and it gives you a rank ordered list of prioritization. So that's nice and we'll use that later. We want to finish off here and say, okay, create formulate a problem statement. Okay, ready to go. And so now we wanted to format our problem statement. And if any of you follow Scott Selhorst, he's one of the experts on the system. He's a product coach, and he has a format that he uses for his problem statements. And I have the GPT, and it creates it in his format. So it comes back with, the problem of the customer struggling to find relevant research materials because they cannot express their needs effectively using keywords affects teachers, school administrators, customer support, company leadership, the impact of which is 170,000 in annual cost due to support team workload, user productivity loss, alongside frustration and inefficiency for the end users. And so the benefits of solving a problem would be improved customer satisfaction, increased efficiency, teachers, administration, 150,000 in cost savings. So the nice thing about that, so we're going to go ahead and copy and paste this problem statement. And we just want to make sure we're saving it off to the board so we have access to it later. And so this is a pretty good problem statement. And what I like about it is that it clearly states the problem, and then we have actual measures. So we have things that we can measure to tell if we're reaching towards our problem. Think about how much time this would take you. So typically, just writing the problem statement. What'll happen is product manager a lot of times will gather the information, go off on their own and write the problem statement, maybe go through the 5 whys themselves. And what this does is if you get the whole team together, what I propose is that instead of taking 4 hours to write the problem statement and then usually epics, sometimes I've seen them take 2 weeks with people. You can't get everybody in the room, you go back and forth. So what you want to do is the whole concept of Agile is the iterative nature of it. So just like in DevOps, where we teach people test-driven development, you want to put your code in, you want to test it as fast as possible. You want this to be so easy that you do it constantly. And so this is what we want to do with getting to our story maps. The sooner we can get to a story map and identify how we want to lay out our stories and solve our problem, the sooner we can talk about timelines and when we can deliver things. So if we can knock this down to an easier process with the team in the room for this session. So instead of having multiple meetings, you get everybody together for a workshop like this, and then you go through.
The world is racing forward with AI and uncertainty. The biggest mistake you can make in your career right now is to stand still. So the question isn't if you should embrace AI, it's how. Should you be a generalist or a specialist? And in today's economy, becoming a generalist with AI is the route to go. to understand how to make it work in your current job. How can you do automation? How can you embrace all of the AI technology around you and encompass it into you moving forward in your career by helping your company and by helping you grow with these new skills? So you need to embrace change. Remember, it's not the biggest and the strongest that survive. It's the people that have the ability to adapt. So if you want more insights like this, follow me on LinkedIn or subscribe to my YouTube channel, and let's shape this future together.